Hi, everybody. I'm here with Martin Warren, and we're talking recruiter enablement. And actually, funnily enough, this is the second interview I've done today with somebody in Singapore, which I'm not sure I've had anybody from Singapore on this, but this is the second one from Singapore today. Anyway, Martin, thanks for joining me, and give us a quick introduction. Who are you, and what do you do?
Hey Adam, thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. And I should have been the first person, not the second person from Singapore. But anyway, it's all good. Hey, yeah. So my name's Martin Warren. I'm based up here in Singapore, originally from Australia. So I work for Grab. So those of you who haven't been to Southeast Asia, think of Grab as Uber. We're similar to Uber, and we're kind of the dominant kind of super app in Southeast Asia. So my role is leading our talent sourcing and channels function. So what that means is really driving all our outbound sourcing for a lot of our critical roles, and also all our channels, such as our agencies and job boards and various other platforms that we use. So that's my role in a nutshell. I've been with Grab now. I'm into my 6th year, so it's been very interesting and lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I bet the company's changed a huge amount in that time, and yeah, I bet you probably write a book about what's been happening. So, what's recruiter enablement to you?
Yeah. So, look, I think what recruiter enablement means to me, and if I kind of use it more maybe in a sourcing sense, where where my kind of background and passion is, it's a bit like when you walk into the office in the morning and you come out of the lift. It's like, give me the 5 tools that I can put onto my tool belt that are going to get the job done, rather than having the 80 tools that I don't know which one I'm going to use today.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I see recruitment enablement. And I think what happens a lot is, there's lots of tools out there. There's lots of different things we can use, but we don't often think about, so what is best for me in my environment, and what's going to kind of enable me to do the job, to get the job done at the best I can, efficiently, and all those sorts of things, And I think that's kind of what recruitment enablement means to me.
You've said that in such a really straightforward way. There's 80 or so different things that maybe you could use, but actually recruiter enablement is getting that 80 down to the 5 that is best for what you're trying to achieve. And that's like getting rid of 75. It's all clutter. And I really believe that recruiters are overwhelmed with the amount of different like apps and tools and Chrome extensions and things. And so if you can get it down to like, yeah, here's the 5 that will really help you, that's a massive win. So like, what are the 5, like, or what are some of the things that are most effective for your team or for the teams that you support?
Yeah. So look, we have a dedicated sourcing platform that we use, and my sourcing team actually doesn't use LinkedIn Recruiter. We've got a sourcing platform that pretty much does what LinkedIn Recruiter does and more, right? It gives us the ability to build up a whole lot of intel about the candidates that we identify. And also, we have a messaging capability or kind of a light CRM capability. The other thing that we can do, which is very powerful, especially for where we're hiring senior candidates, we can actually bring our stakeholders, like our senior hiring managers, into it, right? And our hiring manager, the outreach can go out on behalf of the hiring manager, even though it's the source that's sitting behind driving it, right? And we find that the response rates that we get when it comes from head of engineering versus Martin, the recruiter or the source that's going to span you, changes significantly, right? So that's one of the tools that we use. We have a lot of it's probably not a tool, but what I strongly believe in, I suppose you could call it one of the tools that I put on my tool belt, is process, right? And there's certain processes that we have in place that we must adhere to, right? And it's about enablement, but it's also about creating consistency, right? So irrespective of who we work with, the process is always the same, and there's the same expectations and the same outcome. So that's the sort of thing that I really focus on. And the other thing is around the capability, so the people, right? So doing the job. So I always try and put my team in the best positions, where they've got the strengths, right? So I may have, one of my sources who's really focused on like product and design, because that's what they're passionate about and that's what they're really good at. I'm not going to give them another role that, maybe they're not as passionate about, or don't have the kind of the domain knowledge. So that's kind of how I'm doing it. And, they're the sorts of tools that I use. So it's not always a piece of tech. It could be a process. It could be, how I match, my team to certain roles, or even certain hiring managers, right? That's how to get that consistent engagement, that real buy-in and commitment. So, it becomes a team sport. We're all pulling, for the same outcome.
You've stuck to, I'm not sure if you're aware that you've done this, but there's a theme that you started with, and you've driven it through all of the things that you just talked about there. And so I summarized what you said about, like, you could have 80 different things, but we want to get it down to the 5. That's like removing a lot of clutter and that makes life less stressful for the recruiter. You talked about the sourcing platform, and you talked about the way it's got some messaging capability and you can bring hiring managers in to use it and things like that as well. That is one of the things that I really am enjoying about recruitment technology just now, is that platforms that used to do something quite niche, they're broadening out their capabilities. And if you can do 3 things with that platform where you could only previously do 1 and you had to use 3 to accomplish that same thing, again, it's consolidation. It's about decluttering mind space. And then you also said process. If you've got good, strong process, then again, it means that individuals don't have to think about how am I going to do this? Every time somebody's got to think about a new thing to do or a new way to do something, that's additional stress. And then the same with capability.
Totally.
A lot of this is about simplifying, like consolidating things, and that removes the need for brain capability taking up for doing like quite monotonous things potentially.
Yeah, I agree, Adam, and that's something that I've really focused on, right? And just to give you a simple example, right? So within our platform, we will tag up all the candidates. We may have a very basic profile, right? But we'll have a call with them. We'll tag them all up. We've got standards in terms of how we tag candidates. So everyone knows that you need to use a certain standard in terms of how you tag a candidate based on their domain expertise. So let's say, for example, they could be an engineer, right? A senior engineer, but they've got domain experience in payment gateways, right? Or your online payment gateways. So we tag it up that everyone knows exactly what that means. So we don't get situations where I may tag it one way, you may tag it another way, and all of a sudden we get all this, we get all these different versions and not really knowing, what's what. So that's actually had a real. It's taken a while to get there, and it's not perfect, and it's got a long way to go, but it actually drives, really good practice, really good behaviour. Which I think is all part of enablement, right? Is like you say, take the clutter away, make it easy for people to, get the data in there, tag it all up, and then later on you can then, segment it and access it really, really, really fast. So that's kind of, what we've done.
Yeah, that's another example of there's a bit of brain space required at the beginning to establish what's the best way to go about structuring this. But when you do that, when you put that effort in at the beginning, it saves you a lot of time and creates opportunity for the future as well.
Totally.
Great.
Yeah.
Martin, I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you very much for taking the time to join me today.
Awesome, Adam. Thanks for the opportunity. All the best.